Bismillah, have you ever sat in a crowded room yet felt completely alone? Have you ever smiled in front of people but carried a storm inside your chest? That feeling, that deep, quiet loneliness is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you are forgotten. And it is definitely not a sign that you are unloved. It is a message. And today, you need to understand what Allah wants you to understand. First, your loneliness is not random. Allah does not do anything without purpose. Every season of your life is written with wisdom. When people walk away, when friendships fade, when you feel misunderstood, when your heart feels heavy, it is not chaos. It is design. Sometimes Allah removes people from your life so you can hear Him more clearly. Because when the noise of the world becomes too loud, you stop listening to the one who created you. Loneliness reduces then Allah speaks. Second, and Allah wants you to return to Him. When everything is going well, when you are surrounded by people, when your phone is full of notifications, your heart can slowly drift, not intentionally, not rebelliously, just gradually. But when you are alone, truly alone, you start asking deeper questions. Why do I feel empty? Why does nothing satisfy me? Why does my heart still ache? And that is when you realize something powerful. The space inside your heart was never meant to be filled by people. It was meant to be filled by Allah. No human being can complete you. No friend can permanently fix you. No relationship can replace the peace that comes from remembering your Creator. Your loneliness is not telling you that you need more people. It is telling you that you need more connection with Allah. Third, Allah is protecting you. You may think you lost people, but maybe Allah removed distractions. You may think you were abandoned, but maybe Allah was saving you from attachment that would have destroyed your focus, your faith, or your future. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually divine redirection. Allah sees what you don't. He knows the conversations you never heard. He knows the intentions you never saw. He knows the harm you were unaware of. And out of mercy, He separates you. It hurts, yes, but surgery also hurts and it heals. Fourth, loneliness builds strength. When you are alone, you learn to rely on yourself. You learn to sit with your thoughts. You learn to face your fears. You learn to talk to Allah in sujood with tears that no one else sees. That is not weakness. That is spiritual growth. The strongest believers were not built in comfort. They were built in isolation, in hardship, in moments where only companion they had was Allah. And that was enough. Fifth, Allah is closer than anyone else. You may feel like no one understands you, but Allah understands the pain you cannot explain. You may feel like no one hears you, but Allah hears the dua you whisper in your heart without even moving your lips. You may feel unseen, but Allah has counted every tear. The world measures love by attention, by messages, by presence. But Allah's love is deeper. He stays when everyone leaves. He listens when everyone is tired. He forgives when everyone judges. He responds when you call Him sincerely. So when you feel alone, remember this. You are never alone. You are being invited. Invited to grow. Invited to purify your heart. Invited to build a relationship that does not break. Invited to understand that your worth does not come from people choosing you. It comes from Allah creating you. Your loneliness is not your enemy. It is your awakening. So instead of asking, why am I alone? Ask, what is Allah teaching me in this season? Maybe He is teaching you patience. Maybe He is teaching you independence. Maybe He is teaching you sincerity. Maybe He is teaching you to love Him more than you love the world. And once you understand that, loneliness stops feeling like darkness. It starts feeling like preparation. Preparation for a stronger heart, preparation for better relationships, preparation for a higher level of faith, preparation for a future you cannot yet see. Hold on, pray more, cry if you need to, trust even when it's hard, because the one who made you feel alone for a moment is the one who will fill your heart with a peace that no human being could ever give. And when that peace comes, you will look back at this lonely chapter and realize it was never about being alone. It was about coming home to Allah. When you feel alone, your first thought might be, why is this happening to me? Why did people leave? Why did things change? Why does it feel like everything shifted at once? But here is the truth you must hold on to. Your loneliness is not random. It is written. Nothing in your life happens by accident. Not a single conversation. Not a single goodbye. Not a single moment of silence. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, plans every season of your life with precision. What feels sudden to you has already been measured by Him. Sometimes we assume that when we are surrounded by people, that means we are blessed. And when we are alone, that means something is wrong. But what if loneliness is not a punishment, but a position? A position designed to elevate you. Think about this. When life is loud, when you are constantly busy, constantly talking, constantly distracted, your heart becomes occupied. It becomes attached to people's opinions, Their validation, their presence, you begin to depend on them emotionally, and slowly, without realizing it, your reliance shifts away from Allah. So what does Allah do? Out of love, he rearranges your environment. He removes certain people. He quiets certain distractions. He slows your world down, not to hurt you, but to realign you. Loneliness often feels heavy because it forces you to confront yourself. There are no more distractions to escape into, no more constant noise, just you and your thoughts. And that is exactly where growth begins. Allah sometimes isolates you not because you are weak, but because he is preparing you for something greater. Growth requires separation. Just like a seed must be buried alone in darkness before it breaks through the soil, you too may be placed in a season that feels dark and isolating. But that darkness is not your end. It is your transformation. You may not see the wisdom right now. You may only feel the ache. But Allah sees the full picture. He knows what certain people would have done to your heart if they had stayed. He knows the distractions that would have delayed your progress. He knows the attachments that could have weakened your faith. And because he knows, he intervenes. We often pray for strength, for elevation, for closeness to Allah, but we rarely pray for the process. The process often looks like solitude. It looks like unanswered messages. It looks like friendships fading. It looks like sitting alone at night thinking deeply about your life. Yet this very space is sacred, because in that space, your dependence shifts. You start talking to Allah more. You start reflecting more. You start questioning your purpose. You begin to rebuild yourself without relying on applause or attention. That is not coincidence. That is divine design. If Allah wanted you surrounded by people right now, you would be. If he wanted certain relationships to continue, they would have continued. But if he allowed them to end, then trust that their ending is serving a purpose your heart cannot yet see. Remember, Allah does not subtract from your life unless it is to multiply something greater. So instead of asking, why am I alone? Ask, what is Allah shaping me into during this season? Because loneliness is not a random storm. It is a carefully written chapter. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that this chapter, the quiet one, the heavy one, the isolating one, was the very chapter that built your strength, deepened your faith, and brought you closer to Allah than you had ever been before. There are moments in life when everything slows down, the messages stop, the gatherings decrease, the laughter fades, and suddenly you are left with silence. That silence can feel uncomfortable. But what if that silence is not emptiness, but an invitation? Loneliness is often Allah's way of calling you back. When life is full of people, distractions, entertainment, and constant noise, it is easy to forget the one who gave you everything. Not intentionally, not out of rebellion, but slowly, subtly, the heart becomes busy with creation instead of the creator. You start seeking comfort in conversations. You start seeking validation from attention. You start seeking happiness in temporary things. And for a while, it feels enough. That emptiness you feel in loneliness is not a flaw in you. It is a signal, a reminder that your heart was created with a space that only Allah can fill. No friendship can fully satisfy it. No relationship can permanently secure it. No success can completely calm it. Because your heart was designed to connect to something eternal. When Allah allows you to feel alone, he is clearing the noise so you can hear him again. He is removing distractions so your focus returns. He is gently pulling you away from dependency on people so you can strengthen your dependency on him. Think about your most sincere du'as. When do they usually happen? Not when you are surrounded by laughter, not when everything is perfect. They happen when you are alone at night, when your chest feels heavy, when tears fall and there is no one else to turn to. And in that moment, your conversation with Allah becomes real, raw, honest, deep. Loneliness strips away the performance. There is no audience, no need to impress anyone, just you and your creator. That is powerful. Sometimes Allah wants a private meeting with you, a moment where it is just you and him. No interruptions, no distractions, just sincerity. And that meeting often comes in the form of isolation. You may see it as loss, but Allah sees it as reconnection. Because when people leave, you begin to realize who never leaves. When responses slow down, you remember the one who always responds. When you feel misunderstood by the world, you remember the one who understands your heart completely. Loneliness exposes where your reliance truly is. If your happiness collapses when people leave, then your foundation was built on people. But if your peace strengthens when you turn to Allah, then your foundation becomes unshakable. Allah does not want you dependent on temporary things. He wants you anchored to him. People change, feelings change, circumstances change, but Allah does not change. His mercy does not decrease. His attention does not fade. His love does not weaken. When you feel alone, instead of scrolling endlessly, instead of drowning in overthinking, instead of chasing temporary distractions, Try turning toward Allah intentionally. Pray slowly, make dua honestly, speak to Him about your fears, your confusion, your pain. You will notice something beautiful. The loneliness that once felt heavy starts feeling peaceful because you realize you were never truly alone, you were being redirected. Loneliness is not Allah pushing you away. It is Allah pulling you closer. It is an invitation to rebuild your relationship with Him without competition, without noise, without divided attention. And when that connection strengthens, something changes inside you. You no longer fear being alone because you know that in your solitude, you are in the company of the one who created your heart, understands your struggles, and never turns away from you. What feels like isolation is actually invitation, and accepting that invitation may be the turning point of your entire life. There is a type of emptiness that no one can see. You can be surrounded by family, you can have friends, you can be active, productive, even successful, and still feel like something is missing. That feeling is confusing. You start thinking, maybe I need more friends, maybe I need a relationship, maybe I need success, maybe I need attention. So you try to fill the space. You talk more, you scroll more, you chase more, you attach more. But no matter how much you add to your life, the emptiness quietly returns. Why? Because that space inside your heart was never designed for people. It was designed for Allah. Every human heart has a spiritual need. Just like your body needs food and water, your soul needs connection with its creator. When the soul is disconnected, it feels restless. When it is distant, it feels heavy. When it is empty of remembrance, it feels incomplete. And no human being, no matter how amazing, can permanently fix that. People are limited. They get tired, they misunderstand, they leave, they disappoint, they change. Allah does not. We often make the mistake of expecting from people what only Allah can provide. We expect someone to give us constant peace, constant reassurance, constant understanding, constant presence. But human beings are not built to carry that responsibility. When you expect someone to fill the space meant for Allah, two things happen. You become overly attached, and you become easily broke, because when that person shifts even slightly, your entire emotional stability collapses. That is not love. That is misplaced dependence. The emptiness you feel is not proof that you are unlovable. It is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that your soul is hungry. Hungry for dhikr, hungry for dua, hungry for sujud, hungry for closeness to Allah. Think about the moments when you feel the most peace. Often it is after sincere prayer, after crying in dua, after reading Quran with reflection, after remembering Allah deeply. That peace feels different. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is calm, stable, deep. That is because you are feeding your soul what it was created to need. Success feels exciting but temporary. Attention feels good but unstable. Relationships feel beautiful but fragile. Connection with Allah feels grounding. It stays. When Allah is at the center of your heart, everything else finds its proper place. You can love people without worshiping them emotionally. You can appreciate relationships without depending on them for survival. You can enjoy success without being defined by it. But when Allah is missing from the center, everything feels like it must carry too much weight, and eventually everything collapses. The emptiness you feel is not your enemy. It is your compass. It is pointing you toward your Creator. Instead of rushing to fill that void with noise, sit with it. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time my heart felt deeply connected to Allah? When was the last time I prayed without rushing? When was the last time I spoke to Him sincerely about what I'm feeling? You will notice something powerful. As your connection with Allah strengthens, your neediness decreases. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing abandonment. You stop feeling desperate for attention. Because your heart is anchored. When Allah fills your heart, you are no longer empty, even if you are physically alone. And that is the secret. The world teaches you to fill your emptiness with people, but the truth is this: only Allah can occupy the space He created inside you. Everything else is temporary. He is eternal. And when you allow Him to fill your heart, the emptiness that once felt painful becomes a reminder of where your peace truly belongs. One of the hardest things to accept in life is separation. When someone leaves, when a friendship fades, when a relationship ends, when you are no longer included the way you used to be, it hurts. And naturally, your mind asks, why did this happen? You replay conversations. You question yourself. You wonder what you could have done differently. But what if the separation was not rejection, but protection? Sometimes Allah removes people from your life, not because you are unworthy, but because He sees what you cannot see. You see attachment. Allah sees consequences. You see comfort. Allah sees distraction. You see potential. Allah sees damage. There are conversations you never heard, intentions you never knew, situations that were quietly forming behind the scenes. Allah, in His mercy, knows the full picture of every heart involved, including yours. And when He separates you from someone, It may be because that connection would have slowly pulled you away from your growth, your peace, or your faith. Not every loss is a loss. Some losses are rescue missions. We often become emotionally attached to people who are not meant to stay forever. We build our routines around them. We imagine futures around them. We depend on them for emotional stability. But attachment does not always mean alignment. Just because someone feels important does not mean they are beneficial. And Allah, who loves you more than anyone ever could, will not allow you to remain attached to something that will eventually harm you, even if you cannot see that harm yet. Think about a child holding something sharp. The child might cry when it is taken away. The child might not understand, but the parent sees the danger. In the same way, Allah sees dangers you are unaware of. Sometimes the person you are grieving would have drained your energy. Sometimes the group you are missing would have influenced your character negatively. Sometimes the path you wanted would have led you further from your purpose. And because Allah cares about your akhirah more than your temporary comfort, He intervenes. Intervention does not always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels like heartbreak, but heartbreak is not always destruction. Sometimes it is redirection. You may look at separation as a closed door, but maybe it is Allah closing a door that would have trapped you inside something smaller than what you were meant for. You were not created to shrink yourself for someone else's acceptance. You were not created to compromise your values, to maintain a connection. You were not created to chase people who are not aligned with your growth. When Allah removes someone, He is not decreasing your worth. He is increasing your protection. And here is something powerful to remember. If someone is meant to be part of your destiny, nothing can remove them. If they are not written for your future, no effort can force them to stay. Trusting this is difficult, especially when emotions are strong. But faith means believing that Allah's wisdom is greater than your understanding. One day, you may look back and realize, if that person had stayed, I would not have grown this much. If that door had opened, I would not have discovered my strength. If that attachment had continued, I would not have become this close to Allah. Separation hurts in the moment. But sometimes it is the very thing that saves you from long-term regret. So instead of asking, why was this taken from me? Ask, what is Allah protecting me from? Because Allah does not remove something valuable from your life unless He plans to replace it with something better, whether that better is a person, an opportunity, a stronger version of you, or a deeper connection with Him. What feels like rejection may actually be mercy. And what feels like loss may actually be protection written by the one who knows your future better than you ever could. Loneliness is uncomfortable. It forces you to sit with yourself. It removes the distractions you used to hide behind. It takes away the easy comfort of constant company. But what if this discomfort is not breaking you? What if it is building you? There is a strength that can only be developed in solitude. When you are constantly surrounded by people, it is easy to lean on them for emotional support, decisions, validation, and reassurance. You begin to depend on their presence to feel stable. You rely on their opinions to feel confident. You look to them for comfort whenever life feels heavy. But when you are alone, something changes. You are forced to stand on your own. At first, that feels terrifying, but slowly it becomes empowering. Loneliness teaches you how to manage your thoughts without distraction. It teaches you how to control your emotions without running to someone for immediate comfort. It teaches you how to calm your heart through dua instead of dependency. And that is where spiritual strength is born. True strength is not loud. It is not about showing the world how unbothered you are. It is about being able to sit in a quiet room, feeling the weight of your thoughts and still trusting Allah. It is about crying in sujud and finding relief without needing anyone else to understand. It is about choosing patience when you could choose desperation. When you are alone, you begin to discover parts of yourself you never noticed before. You discover your fears. You discover your insecurities. You discover your weaknesses, but you also discover your resilience. You realize you can survive days without constant validation. You realize that you can face your own mind and not collapse. You realize that your connection with Allah can sustain you in ways people never could. Loneliness shifts your source of strength. Instead of drawing strength from attention, you begin drawing it from tawakkul, trust in Allah. Instead of drawing confidence from approval, you begin drawing it from knowing Allah sees your efforts. Instead of drawing comfort from constant conversation, you begin drawing comfort from dhikr and prayer. That transformation is powerful. The strongest believers in history were not shaped in crowds. They were shaped in moments of isolation, in caves, in exile, in hardship, in nights where the only companion was Allah. Isolation refines faith. When you are alone, your worship becomes more sincere. You are not praying because others are watching. You are not remembering Allah to be seen. You are not doing good to impress anyone. It becomes personal, real. Deep loneliness also teaches independence, not the kind that pushes people away, but the kind that allows you to stand firmly without collapsing when someone leaves. You stop chasing people out of fear of being alone. You stop tolerating disrespect just to avoid silence. You stop compromising your values just to keep company, because you realize something important. Being alone with peace is better than being surrounded with anxiety. When you grow spiritually strong, you no longer fear solitude. You begin to value it. It becomes a space for reflection, growth, and healing. This does not mean you will always be alone. It means that when people enter your life, they will add to your strength, not become the source of it. Loneliness is not making you weak. It is training you. Training your patience, training your trust in Allah, training your emotional discipline, training your ability to stand firm. And one day, when life tests you again, you will respond differently, not with panic, but with calm certainty, because you have already survived your own solitude. And in that solitude, you discovered that Allah was enough. That discovery changes everything. There is a powerful illusion that loneliness creates. It whispers to you, you are by yourself. No one sees you. No one understands you. No one cares the way you need them to. And if you listen to that whisper long enough, it begins to feel real. But here's a truth stronger than that feeling. You are never truly alone, not for a second. Even in your quietest moment. Even in your darkest night. Even when your phone is silent and the world feels distant. Allah is there, not watching from far away. Close. Closer than anyone who has ever claimed to care about you. People's presence is limited. They can sit next to you and still not understand what is happening inside your heart. They can listen to you speak and still miss what you are truly feeling. They can promise to stay and still leave. But Allah's closeness is different. He knows the thoughts you have not spoken. He knows the fears you hide behind smiles. He knows the tears that fall when no one is around. Before you explain your pain, He already understands it. Before you raise your hands in dua, He knows what you are about to ask for. That is a level of closeness no human being can reach. When you feel alone, it is often because you are measuring companionship in physical terms. You are looking for voices, for messages, for visible presence. But Allah's companionship is not always loud. It is subtle. It is in the calm that comes after sincere prayer. It is in the unexpected ease after hardship. It is in the strength you feel when you thought you would break. That strength did not come from nowhere. It came from Him. Sometimes Allah allows you to feel alone so you can discover the reality of His presence. Because when people are constantly around, you may forget to notice that He has always been there. You may forget that every breath you take is sustained by Him. Every heartbeat continues by His permission. Every moment of relief is given by Him. If Allah were to leave you even for a moment, you would not survive it. Yet He never leaves. Even when you forget Him, He does not forget you. Even when you become distant, He remains near. This realization changes how you experience loneliness. Instead of saying, I have no one, you begin to say, Allah is with me. Instead of feeling abandoned, you feel observed, not in a fearful way, but in a comforting way. You are seen, your struggle is seen, your patience is seen, your silent battles are seen. Nothing about you is invisible to Allah. And that should bring a deep sense of security. Because when Allah is with you, you are supported by the one who controls everything, the one who controls hearts, the one who controls outcomes, the one who controls your future. Why fear being alone when the creator of the universe is closer to you than anyone else could ever be? Human companionship is beautiful. It is a blessing, but it is not your foundation. Allah is. When you truly understand that He is near, your loneliness transforms. It no longer feels like emptiness. It feels like privacy with your Lord. A sacred space where you can speak freely, cry openly, and be completely real. And here is something powerful. When you strengthen your awareness of Allah's presence, you stop feeling desperate for human presence. You still value people, you still love people, but you are not dependent on them for emotional survival because you know deeply that you are held by the one who never sleeps, never forgets, and never abandons. You were never alone, you were always accompanied. And once your heart fully understands that, loneliness loses its power over you.